Until late edition news, here's Tim Bowden with a little BackChat.
Good evening. P. Dogood of Kent Town, South Australia, is our first featured correspondent tonight.
As an old and very grateful admirer of Auntie, I venture to ask if she could possibly give us a change from the awful cacophonic racket which has surrounded the 7:30 report for years and years. Please ask her for a pleasing melody.
I guess current affairs themes are supposed to be attention-getting. They're also expensive to produce, as are the sets which have to be duplicated in all states. And it's the 7:30 report set which has caused Tom Gurenbich of Mannering Park, New South Wales, to state,
I see the 7:30 report continues to use those curious backgrounds with spots and orange borders to cause the viewer's attention to wander from the main business. I have now found where, in an excess of frugality, you produce this show. Out on the Coolman Road is an old bullet-riddled water tank. Clearly this is the place, with the sun going down behind it, where Quentin and co do their thing. Gotcha.
that may be all we can afford if ABC budgets continue to be squeezed, Tom, and it is indeed to our political masters who furnish our fiscal fate that Grant Nichol of Balcombe Hills, Sydney, directs his letter.
Lewis Carroll would have loved your satirical comedy show, Parliament Question Time. The crazy dialogue, the wacky characters, the potty battles are right out of Alice in Wonderland. There's the Mad Hatter hurling insults, behind him a dormouse drowses, and a Cheshire cat grins. A grin that lingers long after the TV has been switched off. Curiouser and curiouser. Off with their heads.
Off with ours if we get lumbered with contempt of Parliament. On quickly to the letter contributed by R. Fowler of Bellevue, Perth.
This is not a comment on what has been, but rather a suggestion on what could be. I thought it may be rather interesting to run some of the older Towards 2000 series, not just as a rerun, but with commentary on what has become of these breakthroughs. Some will have become part of our everyday lives. How could we live without them? And others, which seemed to be brilliant ideas, have never been heard of again.
Well, the flag has been run up the flagpole, Mr. Fowler. We'll have to see if anyone here salutes it. A compliment now to ABC Shops from Bruce Smith of Mirrabooka, Perth, who made a very wise purchasing decision. He bought one of my books.
It was handed back to me inside a paper bag, a clean, disposable, recyclable, environmentally friendly paper bag. Congratulations to the ABC Shops in this age of plastics.
And yet another letter from Perth, from Kewdale, and the pen of Ms. R.M., name and address supplied, I hasten to add, who claims to have seen almost the ultimate in bad taste on the program Rage.
I would like to see Rage and other ABC programs dealing with music choose their clips with the sensibilities of women in mind, especially in the case of the afternoon show clips, which so often reinforce stereotypes of women as decorative objects designed for the sexual gratification of men.
Away from the west now to Canowindra, New South Wales, and Commander Eric Bryce, who failed to make it through to the end of one of the ABC's feature movies.
I was forced to answer a very urgent call of nature. When I returned, I found the film had ended, so I missed the last 3 or 4 minutes. Now, Tim, I did hang on just as long as I could, but since I have reached the stage of my life where one becomes known as a senior citizen, hanging on has become rather difficult. Far be it for anyone to suggest that Auntie would ever run commercials. But with these longer movies, perhaps Auntie might consider having an interval for a toilet break.
I nearly didn't make it back. Now, where were we? Oh, yes. Our last letter tonight from Brian Parkin of Mulgrave, Victoria, with a rather splendidly produced fax. He'd like 15 seconds of silence to apply at the end of every program.
This will allow audiences to appreciate the beauty of the closing scene and digest the final message of the program. We love you, Auntie. Please don't act like those other stations and have your helpers gabble away 20 to the dozen immediately our program ends. I think your BackChat is great, Tim, but one thing puzzles me. The files on your desk seem to get shuffled for each program. But how do you get to the PC?
With difficulty, Brian. Good night.
Our Gore Hill transmitter and tower are currently being upgraded in order to provide viewers with a wider reaching and better quality ABC service. We apologise that reception difficulties may be experienced in some areas while this work is completed. For further information on reception difficulties you may experience, please call the National Transmission Agency information line on 008 077 361.